morning. It's great to be here. Thank you very much for having me. I usually come to Davos a bit later in the season for skiing, but it's wonderful to be here at the d10e conference. I will talk about BLOCKv. In the first part, I will share a few information about what we do, who we are, and then in the second part, I want to give you some information, insights, takeaways, and learnings from our recently completed ICO, where we raised over 20 million. So today, blockchains are used by maybe a few million users, mainly for trading cryptocurrencies. Now, how can we extend that so that blockchain is being used by a billion of users over the next coming year? At BLOCKv, we've developed a platform which allows creators, publishers, developers, brands, companies to create virtual goods on blockchain in a complete new way. We call them super tokens or VATMs, which is a complete new asset class with a user experience layer on top of it. So to explain a little bit more on what we mean by VATMs, we've basically taken the characteristics, the existing characteristics of cryptocurrencies and added some additional layers to it. So cryptocurrency characteristics of tokens today: they're unique, they're finite, they're authentic, they're possessible, we have ownership, they're transferable, and all transactions are traceable. So that's fantastic. But the user experience today is close to zero. So what we've added at BLOCKv through our platform is an experience coming close to what you're used to from mobile apps on your iPhone, on your smartphones. So we made tokens programmable, not only from a graphical interaction and representation point of view, but also from a behavior point of view. You can add your own actions, your own behavior to tokens. You can combine tokens. Object A and object B might form a new object Z. They become redeemable for real-world goods. Imagine you can have a token worth maybe a free drink at your hotel tonight. They are network aware. They can change behavior or change state depending on an external event. If you have a tokenized ticket to an event, to a sports event, and your team wins the game, maybe it becomes a voucher for a drink afterwards. As well as we have programmatical artificial intelligence as part of our framework, where you can come up with objects such as, imagine a Tamagotchi style of smart token, which can change its behavior autonomously. So this is basically the framework, what we've built as the BLOCKv platform. Here are some examples of our existing product. These are not mock-ups, these are screenshots of some of the objects we have created. On the left side, you can imagine a key opening another object in form of a crate to reveal some content. Or a modern form of a ticket to a concert for Taylor Swift, which includes an exclusive song with the ticket. Objects can be dropped virtually on the map, as you see in the other screenshot, and be picked up. Or it could be a collectible card of your favorite race car driver. So these are all examples of what can be built based on our platform. So we truly believe that this is a trillion object opportunity, where we're shifting the value out of the apps from a closed walled garden into an open space. Because these virtual goods, VATMs, they're transferable, they're tradable, they're droppable, and redeemable. And we believe this is a fantastic opportunity to bring blockchain to the mass market. As I mentioned, the platform has been already developed. We have a product existing. We spent about 2 years and $4 million to build the technology so far. We have a number of development partners. One mentioned here called Vitamic. Their app is already live in the App Store. Everybody can download it. And the functionality of our token, which we have now created through our ICO, will be functional from the very first day of its creation. The proceeds from our token generating event will be mainly used to further develop the platform capabilities, but also to now really build up a world-class developer community around this technology and around Atoms. I'm not going to go into detail about our technology stack, but just to give you an idea on where we actually are positioned. So the core of our technology here, illustrated as the nucleus and registry, sit on top of an abstraction layer which we've built to integrate with blockchains. Currently, we are already working with Bitcoin and Ethereum, others to be integrated in the future. And developers, publishers can interact with our platform through our API layer and through our SDKs. A couple of words about the team. We're kind of split between California and Switzerland. Reeve Collins, our CEO, and Craig Sellers, both based in the US and California. Gunther, our CTO, and myself, we build up the Swiss team. We have a large number of advisors, some of which are present here. Mike, thank you very much for your support. And that basically concludes my quick intro around BLOCKv. So talking about our recently completed ICO, or token generating event, as we call it, the whole process started about 6 months ago, and the actual sale took place with a 3 weeks pre-sale phase ending starting end of September, and the main sale phase over 5 days in October. We achieved a contribution of nearly 72,000 Ether. Depending on the price, it's around $22 million, sometimes a bit more, sometimes less. These contributions came from over 1,500 contributions, but the top 100 actually made up for 80% of the volume, which means we had quite a large number of larger contributors mainly during our pre-sales phase. We've sold 25% of the total allocation of our V token during the ICO. The rest of the allocations can be seen here. 25% for the community, 25% for the company, and 15% is locked up for long-term purposes up to 6 years. In which market situation did we conduct our ICO? I've tried to illustrate this here with 3 graphs. One shows the Ethereum price from August till November, pretty stable, around $300. Bitcoin doubled in the same time to over 7,000. And the third graph illustrates ICOs, closing dates, number of ICOs from August to November. Now, this is not going to be representative. I'm sure there are a lot more. I just took the figures from Smith & Crown. But as you can see, some in August, ramping up to about 40 in September, and then really it exploded to over 200 now scheduled in November. So given that situation and the fact that we only accepted contributions in Ether, which I'll come to in a bit, why that wasn't an easy market situation for our ICO in October. However, I think we can call it a successful ICO because we still managed to raise over $20 million in this situation. So what was necessary to achieve this success? So obviously, in every ICO campaign, you kind of need to work on the essentials, starting with a polished website and a well-written white paper and other documentations. But on top of that, social media presence and blog posts is hugely important. You cannot get enough. This is very time-consuming, but it's very, very beneficial to spread the word and to create a community around your project, obviously. Plus, presence at conferences, presentations, sponsoring, taking part in competitions, hugely important as well. Obviously, d10e, I put the logo here, is a great space. We participated in another 5 conferences over the last 3 months, basically, while we had the campaign. We took part in a competition in Kiev. We were lucky to come out first. We won the competition, which was excellent for us. The publicity we got out of that, the publicity reach, I think outweighed even the the prize we actually won through the contribution. So the investment prize is highly appreciated and fantastic, but the publicity reach from such an event is super helpful, obviously, in the middle of an ICO campaign. So for all the participants of tomorrow, good luck for your presentations. On top of that, we did a lot of interviews, video posts. We installed a bounty program. We did a lot of Ask Me Anything questionnaire sessions. We announced some partnerships. So these are all the essentials. But on top of that, I want to bring out a few aspects apart from these obvious points. So from our point of view, we were in a lucky situation to have an existing product, so we utilized that to demonstrate and write about showcases. I'm just going to highlight two of those here. Because we were in Switzerland, we actually did a showcase of our technology, of our product, earlier this year at the Zurich Open Air, where our technology was used for attendees of the festival to virtually collect objects and form their virtual drink, which they could then redeem for a real gin and tonic. One of the first real-world use cases of our technology, as well as we used BADMs to promote our ICO. So people could go to our website and acquire or get a virtual gift card, and if they shared it with their friends, they would earn V tokens. So this was a little demonstrator of some multi-layer marketing capabilities of these digital objects based on our platform. Now, some other aspect to be considered during your ICO campaign is obviously the token distribution model. How do you structure that? From very simple fixed price per token to a highly complex model, we probably went down in the middle. We wanted to fix the market capitalization by definition through the community. Obviously, we had a cap, but the market capitalization was defined by the amount raised during the ICO. So we said we sell 100 million tokens during the main sale for whatever price comes, for whatever amount comes together in the main sale. And that defined essentially the price per V token in our campaign. We then calculated, based on an average of 20% discount, what the price was for all the pre-sale contributors and put these sums together. That made up for 35% of the total amount of tokens. Quite simple maths. However, looking at some of the questions we received, it's probably on the more complex side to promote. We were asked over and over again, how does it actually work? Now, what's the total amount of tokens you're going to create? What happens with all the discounts, et cetera, et cetera? So my recommendation, keep it simple. Everybody needs to understand how the model works. Everybody needs to understand how discount works and what the total amount of tokens are you're going to create. That helps a lot in promoting and explaining the model. Some other aspects I want to share regarding legal and regulatory topics. So BLOCKv, obviously, is a Swiss-based company in Zug. We've heard from the previous speaker that Switzerland is a favorable environment to conduct ICOs. I can confirm that. Our token is not a security, it's a utility token, which can be used for consumption from the very first day. So that obviously is also very beneficial. We did do KYC basic checks for every contributor, including embargo and sanction screening, as well as we did additional verification for larger contributions over 10K. We decided to only accept Ether during the ICO because we technically wanted to make sure that the addresses we receive contributions are equal to the addresses where contributors will receive the tokens. This is very important for AML purposes. Might have reduced a little bit the audience of contributors because I think Bitcoin community is huge when it comes to ICO, specifically in the main sale. So maybe one of the reasons why, specifically on our side, the main sale was not oversold. That brings me basically to the last slide, some conclusions. Timing, when we did our ICO, September, October, was tough. Could have been better. However, it could have been worse as well. My guess, 5 days, which we counted in for our main sale, probably was too short. Having a real product obviously helps a lot to explain what you want to do and what the vision and the product is going to provide. And some infos regarding, or some recommendations regarding how you actually get your contributors. So any contribution from pre-sales arrangements, specifically larger deals, really requires a lot of networking, a lot of time, a lot of deal making. During main sale, which we conducted, we wanted to obviously have a broad spread of contributors. Mobilizing the masses takes a lot of time. We probably calculated a little bit too little for that, with only a 2 months campaign time. And when you have your pre-sale commitments or your listings on what people indicate on what they're going to contribute, make sure you calculate this in very generously. Based on our experience now, any commitment coming from a pre-sale deal, count in for a quarter to be on the safe side, as well as from the main sale, maybe even less. So if you have indications that you will reach 40 million, you're probably going to reach 10. The most important part, it's been hard working now for the last 6 months, probably aged about 10 years. However, before the ICO, after the ICO is before the ICO, establishing now a tokenized business model is absolutely essential to have a sustainable growth of the company. So we keep hard working on our business model. And that basically concludes my short presentation about some learnings. If you want to reach out to me, Lukas at BLOCKv, or just come talk to me in the coffee break or lunch break. Thank you very much.